the Prime Minister, $34,218,374. The Ministry of Health, Social Transformation, Consumer Affairs, $101,326,626. The Ministry of Agriculture, Lands, Housing and the Environment, $16,011,577. Ministry of Tourism, Civil Aviation and Culture, $38,100,000. Ministry of National Security and Labor, $69,538,000. Ministry of Education, Sports, Youth and Gender Affairs, $84,446,000. Ministry of Works and Transport, $65,072,280, and an amount of $115 million for capital expenditure. We will intensify our capital works to include road works, refurbishing government buildings, and will implement capital projects in a number of ministries and in Barbuda. Amongst the major areas of capital investment will be money for the Electoral Commission. That will be $4.5 million to make sure that the re-registration process can proceed smoothly. New equipment will have to be ordered, and generally we'll have to make sure that we do not have any problems going forward. The Five Islands Secondary School will be $27 million. That will come via a grant from the Chinese government. Sorry, a loan from the Chinese government. The dredging of St. John's Harbor, which is $20.3 million EC dollars. Roadworks, including Barbuda, $23 million. The Bolans and the Parham Police Station, another $3.1 million. Cost of development for land will be $2.5 million. Vehicle purchases, mainly for the police and the Defense Force, will be $2.5 million. The Barbuda Justice Complex will be $3.5 million. And the upgrade of the airport radar will be $3.5 million. For the Ministry of Finance and the Economy, I will speak a little bit more because the various members who are here will speak to their respective ministries. But within the ministry, there's an allocation of $88,576,062. The Ministry of Finance, the Economy and Public Administration will continue to seek to place the financial affairs of this country front and center of the management of this nation so that we can move forward in a sustainable way. I'm pleased to say that the Inland Revenue Department moved into its new home and that we've conducted comprehensive staff training over the past several months. The Inland Revenue compliance rate has improved from below 40% to over 90%. The government has attained the fiscal targets agreed to under the Fiscal Consolidation Program, and we've received all the relevant disbursements under our standby arrangement. We have been able to negotiate and receive grant funding from the Caribbean Development Bank to finance functional reviews for 7 government ministries as we seek to transform these ministries. We've developed databases for monitoring government travel and approving personal advances. We've implemented and maintained procurement procedures for ministries' expenditure on goods and services to ensure that expenditure remains aligned to revenue. We've implemented the utilities policy to cap government-paid utilities, and we've rescheduled our debt with multilateral creditors, domestic banks, and selected external bilateral creditors. We have completed Antigua and Barbuda's debt profile review for 2006 to 2010, and we've completed a sovereign credit rating exercise with Carrie Chris Rating Agency. In 2013, the ministry will maintain these reforms which have been initiated under the National Economic and Social Transformation Plan. We will continue to consolidate our debt management strategy and restructure our debt in accordance with our Fiscal Consolidation Plan. We will continue to implement the Fiscal Consolidation Program and source financial and technical assistance. We'll seek to secure strategic donor financial and technical assistance for the Fiscal Consolidation Program. We are about to establish the Macro Fiscal Policy Unit within the Ministry of Finance for policy development and implementation. We have established a state-owned enterprise oversight unit and a project management unit, all intended for better management and better oversight of government institutions. We intend to improve the revenue collection mechanisms in the primary revenue collection agencies. We intend to complete the 2007 to 2011 accounts and improve cash management and public financial management. We will develop and review the internal audit unit, the debt unit, and the accounting systems across government departments and conduct audits as necessary. Madam Speaker, as we speak, I announced in Budget 2012 that we would have provided a grant of $500,000 to assist with the restoration of the Cathedral of St. John the Divine. This decision was taken in light of the cathedral's historic value and the fact that it is a major tourist attraction. I'm pleased to indicate that despite the severe cash flow constraints, the government of Antigua and Barbuda was able to fulfill this commitment. The major work on the roof of the cathedral has been completed at a cost of approximately $2.6 million. There is still significant work to be done, but the government, Madam Speaker, we are prepared, in addition to the $500,000 which has been contributed, we are working with the Cathedral Restoration Fund. We will match up to $500,000 funds raised to restore the cathedral. The government of Antigua and Barbuda for 2013, we will match up to $500,000 any funds collected by way of fund-raising activities by the Cathedral Restoration Fund for 2013. In terms of the other budgetary allocations, there is the expenditure for democracy and governance, the expenditure for the justice system. For democracy and governance, the legislature will get $2.2 million. The Cabinet Office will get $3 million. For the justice system, the judiciary, the allocation is $1.7 million, and for the Ministry of Legal Affairs, there's an allocation of $10 million. For the service commissions, there's an allocation of $672,000. For the audit department, an allocation of $1.1 million. For pensions and gratuities, we've allocated $52,328,235. The provision for charges on the account of the public debt is $213,313,594. The 2012 provision for the Electoral Commission is $3,708,000, and an additional $468,000 has been allocated for the Office of the Ombudsman. Now, Madam Speaker, that's how we intend to spend the money in terms of those allocations to the ministries. The issue now arises, how will we finance that? Where will the money come from to finance that? Before I present the estimates of revenue for 2013, I think it's important to state, Madam Speaker, that we are satisfied that we have the right measures in place, and so there's no intention to increase or to add any new tax measures. Yes. So I just want that to be clear. No new taxes, very important. Now, recurrent revenue for the fiscal year of 2013 is budgeted at $757,877,659. This anticipated 7% increase in revenue over the amount estimated for 2012 will be the result of increased economic activity in 2013, the revenues generated through the Citizenship by Investment program, and continued reforms in the tax administration system. The three major sources of this revenue will be direct taxes, which will make up 16% of recurrent revenue, indirect taxes, which make up 72%, and non-tax revenue, which comprises 12%. Tax revenue accounts for about 88% of total recurrent revenue and is budgeted at $670,181,000. Non-tax revenue makes up the remaining 12% of recurrent revenue and is budgeted at $87,696. Direct taxes are projected to yield $119,815,000. Of this total, 98% represent revenue from taxes on income, while 21,701,000 represents revenue from taxes on property. The main sources of the projected revenue from taxes on income will be the corporate income tax and the personal income tax. The corporate income tax is expected to yield $39,145,263 in 2012, whilst the personal income tax is projected to generate $58,956,321. You may recall, Madam Speaker, that in April the government implemented the provision of the Personal Income Tax Act that stipulates allowances and benefits as subject to tax. This policy decision has resulted in a broader tax base by bringing into the net those individuals who previously may have avoided the tax by structuring their remuneration package such that most of their income was in the form of allowances and benefits. Many of the individuals who were previously outside of the net, in particular self-employed business people and professionals, are now being brought into the net. The Inland Revenue Department has been working with these categories of taxpayers to improve their level of compliance and to ensure that in time, the personal income tax will be implemented in a manner that does not cause undue hardship to persons. We understand, Madam Speaker, that it's very difficult whenever a measure is introduced. Persons naturally resist. I believe people who hold a box would know that even to get people to put money in the box, you have difficulty in that. If you have a church choir for people to pay their subscriptions, you have problems with that. Much less when it comes to government taxes, people simply do not want to pay. And so the Inland Revenue Department has had to be quite robust in its approach. And I just want to take this opportunity to say that to the extent that this robust approach has caused any inconvenience, any dislocation, or where persons feel as though they have had to put up with things that they would prefer not to put up with, we apologize. It's not personal. It's all in the interest of bringing the nation of Antigua and Barbuda to a point where we can meet our obligations. I just want to go through again, Madam Speaker, quickly noting the major sources where the revenues will come from, where indirect taxes are budgeted to yield $550 million, which will be about 82% of total tax revenues. Included in this category of indirect taxes is the ABST, stamp duties, licenses for motor vehicles, and the insurance levy. The ABST accounts for about 44% of indirect tax revenue. ABST brings in about $241 million. Again, this is the workhorse tax for the government. $241 million comes in from ABST. One of the reasons why we expect for 2013 that we will have an increase in ABST is that we expect that there will be an increase in economic activity. I also want to go on, Madam Speaker, to just speak of the taxes on international trade. These taxes include import duty. So when you talk about the duty-free, that comes off the import duties, the revenue recovery charge, and the consumption tax. Taxes on international trade and transactions, these yield $253 million. $253.6 million comes from that. The import duty alone generates about $93 million. The revenue recovery charge, that's the RRC, that generates about $81 million. I'm saying all that to say, Madam Speaker, that all of that, those are the funds that go in to allow us to meet our commitments. With regard to the consumption tax, that is levied on fuel. We try to yield $2.80 per gallon. Over the past 4 years, we have, on an average, yielded less than $1 per gallon on the consumption tax for fuel. And that's because if the fuel price goes to a certain level, we do not automatically implement the pass-through mechanism, whereby your $2.80 moves regardless of the price of fuel. Had we done that, the price at the pump would have been over $16 in many cases, because we would have simply ensured that we were getting that $2.80. Let us not forget that in 2004, the cost of a barrel of oil was $27. Today, the cost of a barrel of oil is more than $100. Everything I'm saying, just go back, go online, Google it, and you will see. Less than $27 in 2004. Since then, the price has gone up by 5 times. 5 times. Now, Madam Speaker, along with these factors, I just want to say that we will continue with our subsidy arrangement with the Bus Drivers Association, whereby if the price goes to a certain level, we pay them a certain subsidy. And in that regard, we have paid since May 2011 nearly $80,000 to the bus operators under this bus subsidy program. I mentioned already that we're hoping, in terms of non-tax revenue, to earn approximately $30 million from the Citizenship by Investment program. I want, finally, to take this opportunity to applaud the Comptroller of Customs, Mr. Raju Bodu, the Commissioner of Inland Revenue, Mr. Ralph Warner, the Revenue Reform Manager, Mr. Everett Christian, the Director of ABSD Implementation, Mr. Doug McLaren, and all the other management and staff of the Customs and Excise Division and the Inland Revenue Department for their stellar efforts in 2012. I would also wish to just say a brief word on food prices. But again, I'll be very quick as far as that is concerned, and just mention that in the document, I would invite persons to look at the real issues with respect to the food prices here in Antigua and Barbuda. The cost that has been imported, where many persons would say that they are paying high prices, and that is the taxes that are the cause of those high prices. You will see, once you go online, that the price of food has been going up constantly, and we have been importing that inflation from overseas. The Interministerial Consumer Protection Task Force, nonetheless, will be reconstituted. This is a task force that is chaired by the Director of Prices and Consumer Affairs. It has representatives from the Statistics Division, the Customs and Excise Department, the Inland Revenue Department, the Social Policy Research and Planning Department, and also the Antigua Port Authority and the Ministry of Finance. I will move on, Madam Speaker, to note that as it stands, with all that we've done, we have maintained our social programs, which continue to bring benefits to our people. The School Uniform Grant Program, the National School Meals Program, the Program for Vulnerable Citizens, the Board of Guardians Program, the Government Residential Assistance Care for the Elderly and Eligible. All of these programs are continuing. The National Student Loan Fund, which has brought relief to so many of our young students, allowing them to study, that program also continues. We are looking currently to see whether or not we can partner with the commercial banks. Those that reduce the interest rate to 7% for the students, we will give them a tax benefit so that we will incentivize the financial institutions, reduce the cost of student loans. Currently, a student loan is about 9%. We'd want student loans to come down to approximately 7%. And in doing that, we would be inviting the financial institutions to partner with us so that we can make that a reality. We've launched our Leadership Through Excellence Award program. This is a program that was advertised for some of the youngest, brightest, and best products of State College and the universities. They've returned to Antigua, and we've offered them an opportunity to get a first-hand look at the government system. We took students between the ages of 18 and 25. We are trying to inculcate within these students a service-oriented culture. What we're hoping is that of the 15 who have been selected in the first cohort, 3 will go on to automatic employment within the service, and we'll try to get the others in as spaces permit. They will be paid a stipend, and they will also be given an opportunity to be mentored by senior members within the public service. Madam Speaker, doing the right thing does not always make for a feel-good experience, as I've tried to point out. At least not in the near term. save and except for the knowledge that current unease in many times may be the platform for prosperity. We must be encouraged, however, that in significant part, we create our own future. We determine what type of country, what type of community, what kind of economy our children will inherit. In very much the same way that our current circumstances were fashioned by choices that were made 30, 40, and in some cases further back than that. There is an old Chinese adage which declares, if you want to know your past, look into your present conditions. If you want to know your future, look into your present actions. Madam Speaker, we are quite aware of what our present conditions are. And whilst over the years we have been the casualty of hurricane damage, global economic downturns, and other events that were beyond our control, we know that in order to paint a complete picture and present an honest portrayal of our current state of affairs, we must factor in the decisions that we as citizens have made along the way. The good news is, however, that we can know our future. We can know because through our present actions, we are the authors and architects of it. It was Abraham Lincoln who said, the best way to predict the future is to create it. And since, Madam Speaker, our future, our destiny, is literally being modeled after our own design and molded with our own hands, we can be assured that St. John's, Antigua, and Codrington, Barbuda, shall be shining cities upon a hill, because this is the destiny that we, citizens of faith, have chosen for ourselves and for our children. We are what, Madam Speaker, we are what our deep driving desire is. As our desire is, so is our will. As our will is, so is our deed. As our deed is, so is our destiny. Madam Speaker, ladies and gentlemen, let us, with driving desire, seek out the light and with a determined clasp, take hold of the glory that may be and touch the substance of things hoped for. Finally, Madam Speaker, you may recall that on Saturday 15th and Sunday 16th December, we reduced the ABST from 15% to 5% on all goods sold in Antigua and Barbuda. By all accounts, this has been a resounding success. And hundreds of Antiguans and Barbudans benefited from this initiative. I want to thank all the merchants who immediately embraced this initiative and realized the benefits it would bring for consumers and businesses alike. I would especially like to thank those businesses who added the ABST relief to their already existing discounts so that consumers... Madam Speaker, in light of this success, the government, on the advice of the Honorable Prime Minister, has decided to undertake this initiative once more from Friday 21st through to Monday 24th December 2012. I expect, Madam Speaker, that this will allow even more of our citizens and residents to benefit as they undertake their Christmas shopping. Madam Speaker, as I indicated, I'm very pleased once again to reiterate that we started the payment of the salaries for December today, so every public servant will have enough money so that they will all have a joyous Christmas. Madam Speaker, on behalf of the Honorable Prime Minister, I wish you and all citizens and residents a blessed Christmas and a peaceful and a joyful New Year. I thank you, Madam Speaker, and I commend Budget 2013 to the honorable members of this August House and ask that they endorse the proposals contained herein. May it please you, Madam Speaker.